Let's do this. Settle down, everybody. Settle down. Faces towards the whiteboard, please. Karamba. That magazine had better not be what I think it is. Right. Explain my joke. My wife, this is from Karamba, my wife rearranged the labels on my spice rack. I haven't confronted her yet, but the time is coming. So, from the dawn of antiquity, that's a lovely turn of phrase, isn't it? We eat things, and for a very long time now, humanity has tried to make the things that we eat taste nice, through various means, one of which is what I like to call seasoning. And what seasoning is, we basically discovered certain, I would say certain leaves, but also certain grains, certain seeds, certain nuts, that if ground down or chopped finely and then added to food, it just gives it a sort of an explosion of flavour. And we tend to call those herbs and spices. Herbs for the because herb literally is I think means grass, but herbs for the leafy stuff, and then for all the nuts and the grains and the stamen. We call spices. Now, just as an aside, this isn't really relevant to the joke, but the most expensive spice by weight is saffron, which is understandable because a very little bit of saffron goes a very long way, and it's a very light thing. But does anybody happen to know? Good word, statement. It's an excellent word, isn't it? It's one of my favourites. Does anybody happen to know what the second most expensive spice by weight is? This is a good one. I've not fact-checked it, but I heard it on the radio, so it must be true. No, it's not salt, although salt was, at one time, so highly valued that Roman soldiers were paid in it, and that is as I understand it, that's the etymology of salary. Yeah, to have basically a salt allowance. Salt, I think it was expensive back then, more for utility, because it was a way of keeping meat fresh. Not so posh spice. No, it's not so posh spice, Karamba. You've got one more guess, chap. One more guess. Chip spice. What on earth is chip spice? Oh, it's WKJS with not so posh spice. Anyway, pumpkin spice. No, not pumpkin spice. The answer, believe it or not, is vanilla. Yeah, vanilla is the most expensive. Because, as I understand it, vanilla is a sexy plant. It's not one of those plants that just, does its own thing, as it were. It's one of those plants where there's like a female version of it and a male version of it, and they gotta get it on. They gotta get it on, and in terms of existing in the wild, vanilla plants got it on perfectly well on their own for hundreds of years. But it did mean that getting any vanilla, it basically wasn't rare. It wasn't. There wasn't enough of it really for it to be viable as a spice. And till one chap, who I believe was a slave, but don't quote me. But he discovered a technique for fertilizing the vanillas. And why have vanilla when you can have a beaver's bum gland? Well, that's true. There's a gland in the beaver which is the main source of synthetic vanilla flavouring. Damn! Yeah. My work here is done. Not yet. Where was I? Oh, yes. So, basically, now we cultivate vanilla, but it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to cultivate vanilla. Yeah. And because of that. And But again, it's similar with saffron, where a little goes a long way. You get a vanilla pod, that's good for like 10 to 12 cooks, yeah, of whatever you're making. A little tip is that you can just carve a notch into the vanilla pod each time you use it. Just a little tip there. Is it synthetic if it comes from a beaver's arse? I think so, Mr. Frightful. If it's pretending to be something else, yeah, I would say that was, And also, possibly, we don't actually source it from the beaver's bum gland. We've probably synthesized that, because it's easier to synthesize that than your actual vanilla. So, have I explained the joke? No, I haven't. I've not even started. Right. We have, and this is a slight peculiarity of English, because you'll see that there are two things involved to make this joke work. The first one is a herb, thyme. Yeah. And the other one is a spice, cumin. Which is, I believe, derived from the ground cumin seeds. Cumin, secret ingredient for chili con carne, by the way. Cumin. Yeah, you heard it here first. I enjoy vanilla almond milk. Just felt like saying that. Sounds delicious. Hang on, this is taking a turn, and I'm sure I want to Google beaver's bum gland. Well, you do it. I would maybe incognito that one, caramba. Because you know what it's like. You Google beaver's bum gland, and then suddenly you're trying to read a really insightful article on the Guardian website about what a rotter Boris Johnson is, and all you can see are just adverts for beaver's bum glands. And you'd be sat there going, I bought one. I don't need another one. I've bought a bum gland. I am no longer in the market for a beaver's bum gland. Thank you very much. So anyway, yes. So thyme, you'll notice, because I've said, it's a herb. It's not a spice. It's a herb. Yet we still find it on the spice rack. Coincidence or something more sinister? No. Yeah, we generally will put herbs in the spice rack as well. Yeah, or rather, we call the thing that we put our herbs and spices on the spice rack, despite the fact that, some of them aren't spices. I've been using a fair bit of oat cream of late. Cream sauce is a lot easier on the tum-tum. Oh, you've been eating it. Oh, that makes more sense. Also, cashew cream. Ooh, sounds delicious. It's probably not very good for you, but I discovered coconut oil recently as a cooking substance. And coconut oil is rather fun because its melting point is about 20, 23, 24, 25 degrees Celsius, which basically means that most of the year in this country it's a solid. But when you get those brief moments of heat, of hot weather, you end up, it just liquefies. It's brilliant. It does it all by itself, and then it kind of resettles in the jar. It's like a very slow lava lamp. So, has that explained the joke? No, I have not explained the joke. So, okay. So sometimes we'll say in English that something is due. We might say, "Oh, that the time is coming. The time is coming when this will happen." And this is playing on that phrase, but here instead of time, you see, time is. I've got to be careful how this is spelled. Coming. I thought of a very filthy joke about HFEA earlier, and I can't share it here, obviously, but it made me giggle. Very childish joke. It was a very childish joke. It was basically, that the HFE is the what is it? The Human Fertility and Embryology Association, and they are the sort of the arbiters of any kind of fertility treatment that you have. You see, so my little joke was like, like you get an apology on the radio where a mistake has been made in a previous episode, and we just like to correct a statement earlier in the show where we said, and it was like, we'd just like to correct an earlier assertion. The arbiter for fertility treatments, the arbiter for sperm banks in the United Kingdom is the HFEA and not, as we previously stated. And I'm not going to say what the rest of the joke is, but it's a pun. It was a pun on Ofcom. Right. So time is coming. Time is coming. What a segue. Time is coming. Yes. So here we arrive at the sentence. Time is coming. The top sentence, because of this mislabeling of things in the spice rack. You see. So Karumba's good lady wife has basically stuck a well, we don't really know which way round it is. Either a cumin label on the time or a time label on the cumin, you see. Yes. And on the basis of that, we are one. We are one. What? Time is coming for a coriander curry. Wowzers, trousers. Yes. So that's basically the basis of the joke, is that the time is coming. It reflects the mix-up labels in the spice rack, but also it suggests this confrontation. Time is coming for that confrontation. And when a sentence means two things simultaneously, it's funny. By the way, Karamba, have I explained that joke to your satisfaction, sir? Cheating on EastEnders. Excellent work. I expect nothing less. Yes, and so much more. Thank you. That was a good one, wasn't it? That was a good one. Okay, let's get back to the game.